Check 1, 2.
Well, you don't even have to check anymore now, Dave, because we're officially starting.
It's the Jef Clo Podcast Show. If you don't think we're funny, we'll give you the middle toe, because it's the Jef Clo Podcast Show. Oh, it's Jef and Clo and Jef and Clo and Jef and Clo and Jef and Clo. And just in case you didn't remember, it's Jef and Clo. Jef and Clo.
All right, we are on with week 2 of the Jef and Clo. What are we calling this?
The Jef and Clo Podcast.
Well, it seemed like it rhymed. Did we not go with a rhyming?
Well, you're thinking of the Jef and Clo show. That's just what people were saying to us on the boat because they were not aware of the appropriate branding that we're working toward.
Yeah, but then again, our jingle says, "Welcome to the Jef and Clo Podcast Show."
Right. Okay, I see what you mean.
Yes.
But the logo just simply says Jef and Clo Podcast. Well, it has more than that.
Yeah.
Because we are all about name gratification. And we're actually going to get into a discussion tonight about the album that we released recently and the recording process and everything that we did. And oddly enough, it was the last night, so I was down in Nashville for 3 days.
Last night you were down in Nashville for 3 days.
No.
Okay.
When we did the album.
Oh, yes.
But
you know, we tracked all 12 songs, your vocals, the instruments, the heart of the album anyway, in 3 days, 12 songs. Unheard of.
Correct. I'm just glad my voice held out.
Absolutely.
Yes, but the last night, these were like 15-hour days, needless to say. We were a little slap happy, and
yes, you were.
We started coming up with all these different ideas for Jef and Clo. Like I have the paper or a picture of the paper somewhere where we were just laughing hysterically. So I kind of used that approach when we were designing or figuring out the name for the podcast. So the full podcast name is actually Jef and Clo Present the Jef and Clo Podcast, featuring Dave Clo and Jeff Schaefer.
I liked it.
A little gratuitous.
I voted for that one.
But it's okay. It's branding. I have a background in marketing, and I don't mind showing a little leg and working the street every once in a while.
Please don't.
So to speak.
You know, and I have a background in redundancy. So,
perfect. Well, that works out well.
Yes, it does. And hey, how was your week?
My week was good. It was St. Patty's Day weekend last weekend, so did a couple gigs with the Lovebenders here in Columbus. Actually, one of them was down in Chillicothe at an Eagles club, the president being a gentleman who is actually on the Buckeye Cruise.
Trump?
What?
Trump?
No, the president of the Eagles Club.
Oh.
All right, look, we like the Eagles. They're huge. Their wings are giant. They're fantastic.
That's stupid.
We're flying.
Man, I thought he was here for a second.
No. Well, yeah. Everyone did. Maybe someday we'll get him as a guest if
but
we
you
can
were spot on.
prod him enough on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and then we did a show Sunday on official St. Patrick's Day, which was earlier in the day, and that was a little tougher because I didn't get home until 2 o'clock in the morning the night before, and then had to be setting up at 2 o'clock the next afternoon. So very little sleep. Thank goodness for green beer and green Jell-O shots to help one muscle through.
Wow, really?
Well, I mean, conservatively, because I was driving the equipment, so you have to you have to do it in moderation.
So is it extra potent with the green dye?
It's probably just more for festivity's sake. I haven't really noticed.
Oh, that's too bad.
On the expulsion part of things that it really has an effect. That would be my biggest concern.
Expulsion.
So luckily, it was green in, not green out.
Ooh, thanks for that. Now, we just started a new segment called Big Words from Jeff.
Okay.
Expulsion.
I've got a lot of big words.
I know.
I will be happy to share my expounded vernacular with you at some point on the show.
Oh,
see, here we go. The segment continues.
Yes, but we have a rule. You have to stick to one big word per show.
Okay.
Expulsion is the word.
So I have to essentially speak like a moron for the remainder of the podcast. Once I spit out my big word, that's it. Jeff's hit his allowance. You're done.
Oh, so you're saying I sound like a moron?
No, I mean you're more than welcome to throw in some big words.
No, you won't hear me throwing around big words.
No comment.
Like extraterrestrial.
Ooh, that's hyphenated, so that's technically 2 words. But terrestrial is still a big word.
Yay.
So I'm proud of you, Dave. Good job.
Well, you're just too kind, Jeff.
Yes. So I'm going to circle back to the fact that we are on podcast number 2. Our first podcast, for anyone who listened, was the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer 2019 recap. And we've had I'm pretty pleased with the listenership that we have had. Oh, listenership. I should have not said that word. It was too advanced.
But some good
I've already had my word of the day.
pun qualities.
But yeah, we're doing pretty well. People that might have listened to the last podcast, the very final interview of the show, a lady said, well, where are you guys going to be? You're going to be on SoundCloud? And we were like, we don't know. We hadn't figured any of this out yet.
She was nice.
Oddly enough, we ended up on SoundCloud. So for anybody who's listening to the podcast, you probably know that we're on SoundCloud. However,
because you're listening on SoundCloud.
Yes, but maybe no, because what happened today was I was able to submit the RSS feed.
Huh?
I know that's going over your head.
Absolutely.
But we were able to I was able to submit the RSS feed to both iTunes and Spotify podcast channels.
Yay, Jeff.
So someone could be listening to episode 2 on one of those channels because hopefully they're available at that time. We clearly are not recording this live.
Wait, what?
Sorry, we're pulling the curtain back on the Wizard of Oz here. It is Thursday night. While Dave and I we're busy people.
But it is live for us right now.
Right, it is live. Yes, we clearly are not. I don't even.
You don't know where to go with that.
The physics of trying to figure out how this is pre-recorded right now is blowing my mind.
I know, it's like the Matrix. Just accept it. Just go with it.
Okay, it has been accepted.
Good.
But yeah, so with the podcast though, I'll tell you, like there's been some adjustments. We realized, we're recording in 2 different studios. I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. You're there in Nashville, or rather Brentwood, Nashville South.
And by the way, you sound a lot nicer this week. Did you do some work in your studio?
I sure did, Dave. Thank you for asking. I've actually, I'm using I don't know what you call it. I should know the technical term, but it's like a Half Moon.
A blanket.
Sound baffler. Oh, I also have a blanket, yes, nailed to the wall behind me.
Totally pro.
To help with the bounce back. I have also turned off the furnace in my home, which here in Ohio, unfortunately, even at this time of the year, it is very cold outside. So by the time we finish this podcast tonight...
You should get one of those Half Moon sound bafflers.
Oh, should I?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
Sorry.
Hold on 1 second.
I interrupted you.
And I have one.
Oh, now you're a pro.
It's amazing how quickly Amazon delivers things nowadays.
Scary.
Amazon, speaking of which, if you want to advertise, sales at jeffandclo.com. But yeah, so we've had to make adjustments. And I'll also say I was actually driving my son, who's 16 and will be driving himself places soon, but I was driving him to a friend's because his spring break officially starts tomorrow and he's doing a sleepover at his friend's tonight. And I was explaining to him that one thing listening back to the podcast, whether it be what we did in the studio or on the boat, was you start to recognize and pick up on, I guess, what you would call vocal tics. And I'm trying to be really cognizant of not big words. I normally speak very fast, and this is what I was trying to explain to Skylar was I'll interrupt myself with an or an because my brain is not working as fast as my mouth, which is odd and sometimes gets me in trouble, but that's just typically the way I speak. So I'm doing my best to slow myself down a little bit for this episode and hopefully future episodes to avoid some of the things that will make us sound like the unprofessional broadcasters that we are.
ironic how well you just said that. I got to call you out on the word cognizant, a bigger word that you just used.
Yeah.
Well, you got buzzed on that one.
All right. And because we're doing this in 2 studios without a fancy board, that's why you're hearing Dave give me a heads up that I have been buzzed on something, because I don't know. I don't hear the buzz. That's Dave's department.
Yes, see, we're actually just talking on the phone and recording ourselves.
And there's full transparency for the audience. That's okay.
It's the only way.
I think maybe they're slightly interested in knowing how
So
this
it's
works.
going up.
Maybe they're asking us to get to the rest of the podcast because they have fallen asleep
Wait.
or found something better.
There's more, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Speaking of which, the last episode we broke into 2 parts because of all the interviews we got on the boat, and then the additional commentary that we added ended up turning the podcast into roughly an hour and 40 minutes. We will be moving forward attempting to make these episodes a bit more digestible, around 45-ish minutes, maybe, give a little, take a little. So hopefully everyone can, access the podcast, listen to it in a more reasonable time frame on your way to work, on your way home from work, or during work. We would love to be an amazing distraction that potentially denies you your next raise. No comment, Dave?
You lost me at, I forgot to tell you.
Okay, so speaking of unprofessional broadcasting, the one rule of broadcasting is no dead air.
Yes.
Welcome to Dead Air.
Yeah, well, I was just wanted to check your ability
that's okay.
to respond to that.
No, it's perfect. I enjoy it.
There's just something funny about the thought of you going on and on and on and on and on, and when you stop, I don't say anything.
That is pretty much the story of my life.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, I know. I'm over it. I'm used to it. It's been happening since I could speak.
Hold on. I got to grab a guitar for this.
All right. And you're hearing how Dave just has guitars readily accessible.
Oh, yeah. So say that again. Story of your life?
The story of my life.
You know, I already did that on the guitar, so you didn't need to do it again.
I know you did. But now you can lay that on top of it, or you can just leave them separate.
Probably won't.
That's all up to you.
Yeah.
Editor extraordinaire, Mr. Dave Clo.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
So while we were recapping some stuff from the past, I do want to start talking about things that are more current. I want to point out something. So this was between the cruise.
What?
But before our studio session where we recorded our commentary for the cruise interviews, I was actually able to go to an event here in Columbus that is a fundraiser, and I just want to give them a quick shout out. It is called the 2nd and 7 Foundation. The beautiful Miss Carrie Ann Wood, a friend of hers, was feeling ill and was supposed to go with her to that event, and she instead invited me when her friend couldn't, well, rather I invited myself. But regardless, I was able to go to this event at a larger venue here in Columbus called Express Live, and I was able to meet the new head coach, Mr. Ryan Day of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh, yeah.
But the foundation is amazing, and I just want to give them a quick shout out. The 2ndand7.com. It is being run by a former OSU football player, Mr. Ryan Miller, and the purpose of the organization is to promote literacy and reading with children. I'm pretty sure they even have people that make custom books for the program and the organization. So I just wanted to give that quick shout out to the organization, and please go there, learn more about 2nd and 7, and figure out how you can volunteer, donate, or help. But that was a really good time, and it was really cool to get to meet Ryan Day.
Yeah, that is really cool. And when you brought up Ryan Miller, I remembered that, in the first podcast, we forgot to mention him when we were talking about all the football players that would get up and sing with us. Ryan Miller is a constant singer, and he always gets up and sings with us. And
yeah, he's a good guy. He's actually gotten up and sang with the Love Benders in the past. And
Yeah, and he's good.
yeah, he is.
Yeah, some football players will get up and they're doing their best, but he's actually got a really good range.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, he'll get up and do Bon Jovi or Guns N' Roses or
Yeah, a lot of the football players, you can imagine when you're 6'8", that like Bobby, even when he talks, it's so deep.
Oh, hey, Bobby, that was Jeff.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. We know Bobby, and he has actually been doing a lot of professional broadcasting, not only locally, but nationally with ESPN. So he's very familiar with his own voice, and I'm sure he's heard it back enough, and he knows how he sounds.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job broadcasting. I've seen him a few times up in the box or down on the field or somewhere in the range, and he's always just doing great.
Yeah. I listen to him every single day on 97.1 The Fan here in Columbus with Anthony Rothman.
Cool.
And they actually...
How come they don't play that here?
Well, the antenna is not that big.
Oh.
Yeah.
Stinks.
It's a shame. Maybe if Bobby climbed to the top and added that little extra bit of height...
Would he?
And just waved a little, like rabbit ears over his head, you might pick it up.
Or just go to iHeartRadio.
Or you could do that. Or you could just go to the fan website and stream it.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Hey, and there's some more advertisers for you.
I don't think a radio station is going to advertise on our podcast. It's a bit of a conflict of interest.
You're so smart, Joe.
So while we're on the conversation of football, because I want to move off of football, because we're not, I don't know about you, I'm not a huge sports fan. I love the Buckeyes.
Okay.
I watch some NFL. I'm actually a big hockey fan. I was actually watching the St. Louis Blues game tonight. We'll get into that another night, why I live in Columbus and I'm a St. Louis Blues fan. It all basically has to do with the fact that I was a fan of hockey prior to the Blue Jackets being in town. I wish no ill will towards the Blue Jackets.
Thank
It's just not
goodness.
my primary team.
Can't you just go from Blues to Blue Jackets?
I tried it. No, and I actually have sang the national anthem for the Blue Jackets in front of over 18,000 people, which is a daunting experience.
Big word.
And then you try and say, I'm not going to look at the crowd, so you just look up into the middle of the stadium, and unfortunately there's a giant jumbotron with your face, which is almost worse. So you almost say, I'm just going to look back at the crowd.
Interesting.
But I also played the organ for the Blue Jackets in a preseason game early in the Blue Jackets history.
Should we be talking about that?
Yeah, that's okay. Why not?
Well,
Well, that's different. No, the organ, like the piano. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. It was a PG organ.
You never know with Jeff.
But while we're on sports and while we're talking about schizophrenia of team fandom, I want to point out that, Dave, you seem to be a guy who
I sure am.
has a lot of
Where's he going?
fandom for multiple NFL teams. Tell me, who do you consider your favorite NFL teams? Who do you root for?
Well, you see, I have 31 favorite teams.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Are the Dolphins number one?
Yes, Miami is number one.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Miami, Florida.
Okay, and you lived there.
Yes, I lived there. A lot of
You
love.
lived there even as an adult.
Well, I lived there for a few years as a kid, and then we vacationed there every year my whole life.
Okay.
And then after I graduated from the University of Cincinnati, I moved back for a little while. And what they call us is halfbacks. And that's people who grew up in the north, moved down to South Florida, and then
Okay.
moved halfway back.
A very football term, halfback.
Yes, it is. Moved halfway back to the south somewhere like the Carolinas or Tennessee.
Did you ever play any sports as a child?
I did. I was most valuable player in second grade.
In chess?
In football. No, but
Really?
it was-
In second grade?
No, it wasn't second grade. It was like fifth grade.
Kindergarten.
No, actually, summer going into sixth grade.
It was flag football. I was 2.5.
No, it was tackle. In
Oh,
fact,
wow.
I just Facebook friended a friend from that fifth grade year, alliteration warning. But anyway, Mark Zakowici in Bluefield, West Virginia, and he reminded me of a play where I intercepted the ball and ran it in for a touchdown. So that was my fifth grade glory.
Flashbacks.
Sixth grade, somewhere in between.
Between Miami and
Yeah, we had a few different places we lived before hitting St. Clairsville, Ohio, at the end of my 6th grade.
yeah, I was not the biggest. I was. My father was a big star jock back in the heyday in his high school. My brother, who's a few years older than me, he was also Mr. Starting varsity pitcher on the high school team. He was, I want to say, a wide receiver and a kick returner varsity on the football team. Meanwhile, I was a bit more of the artsy-fartsy kid that was afraid of the ball.
Especially that second part.
Yeah, the fartsy?
Yeah.
It depends. But I will say that when I spent most of my childhood in Cincinnati until I was around 13 years old, and then we moved to Columbus. And my first year, I didn't really hit a growth spurt until high school. I went into high school at right around 5 feet tall.
I was the same way, the exact same way.
Really?
Yeah, when I moved to Ohio, it was the end of my 6th grade year, and I was just so small, and I didn't really think I would be any good at football. I went out a few more times.
Well,
but the coach would never really let me do anything except run up and down the stairs.
Right, that's odd enough. That's almost identical to me. I was essentially the tackling dummy because in seventh grade when I moved to Columbus, first off, no one knew me. I was tiny. I had no skills. I'd never played football before, so I joined the football team.
If you had been our tackling dummy, I may not have ever quit football.
Well, let me finish my story and my shame. So, I showed up diligently for practice every day and just did what they told me to do. And then it's probably, I don't know, third, fourth game of the season. At this point, I'm a little dejected and I'm really not feeling it. I don't want to do this, but I don't want to disappoint my dad. And they put me in for one play as a fullback.
I like where this is going.
And I would have loved that had it been a passing play. Unfortunately, they handed the ball to me, and I didn't know what the play was because I'd never really practiced the play. And I'm this terrified small little kid with a ball in my hand.
Oh, Jeff.
And I picked up 6 yards on the play.
Wow.
That was the only play I've ever played in a football game. And my brother, the fantastic jock that he was, and to this day, still likes to tell me that I have a better running average than most NFL pros because my running average is 6 yards.
Very good. Proud of you, Jeff.
Yeah, about 2 weeks later,
Please tell me that's on video somewhere.
No, it's not, thank God. But a couple weeks later, I went in with my head hanging down to the coach in his office, and I remember feeling like I was taking a stand. I handed him all my equipment and my uniform and said, "This isn't for me, I'm done." And I said, "You can keep the belt," because the belt had been purchased by my parents, and it was for some reason it felt like I was sticking it to him, but in fact I was just giving him free equipment. Oh, such humiliation! Welcome to my life.
Had you made 8 yards, would you have stuck around?
No, I don't know. I was a swimmer my whole life. I was really good at swimming.
Swimmer.
I played lacrosse. My freshman year I played tennis, which the tennis team was so huge. And then they put me in one match because I wasn't the greatest. But I beat the second singles player from this Upper Arlington school here in Columbus. And it was actually a pretty big win. And then a week later, someone stole my tennis racket out of my locker, and that ended my tennis career. The year after that, my sophomore year, I tried lacrosse, and I, again, wasn't very good or athletic. And the coach yelled, "First string." I thought he said third string,
No.
And I ran on the field. And apparently he had to grab a guy and hold him back to avoid having too many men on the field. And in that one play, this was also against Upper Arlington, in that one play, they threw me the ball. I caught it in my stick net, whatever the hell it's called. And
You accidentally scored?
the guy tried to swat my stick, hit my hand, and broke my thumb. Again, I was not really built for sports.
Terrible story.
It is what it is.
Well, you're good at talking, so Maybe doing podcasts is what...
Well, yeah, it only took me 30 more years to figure that out.
Oh, that's funny and sad.
So really quick, while we're still on football, this is where I was going to go, is because I did grow up in Cincinnati. I was always raised to be a Bengals fan, and of course, if you're a Bengals fan, you're supposed to hate the Browns with a red-hot passion.
Oh, by the way, you never did find out the rest of my favorite teams.
Oh, yes, I did not. What's number 2?
Well, the Bengals actually are number 2. Because when I was going to the University of Cincinnati, I would go to some games and just became a big fan. Plus, I grew up in Ohio, so I was a fan, and for some reason, never really got into the Browns as much.
There's a lot of reasons.
Well, now I live in Nashville, and the number 3 slot is taken up by the Tennessee Titans. And finally, number 4 through 31 is any team playing the Patriots.
Okay, so that's understandable. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm one of those people, too, where it's just like you get so tired of watching the Patriots win. But at the same time, you got to throw them the respect of the fact that, you know, they're dealing with the same salary caps as everyone else. They're dealing with the same rules as everyone else. And,
Sort of.
well, okay, you know, outside of, you know, PSI. But beyond that, they're dealing with the same rules. But they do have a very...
There were some spying incidents, some recordings, at least a couple of times.
Yeah, I forgot about that. All right, you're right. They suck.
But No,
I'm just kidding. I apologize, New England.
I got to give them credit. They do find a way to cheat.
And it seems ridiculous for us to think that we might offend a New England Patriots fan or people in New England, but I will tell you that based on our statistics from our first episode of our podcast, we actually have 1 listen from the United Kingdom.
That's the old England.
Yes.
You think it's a Patriots fan out there?
I believe that I'm going to do the rest of the episode like this, so that they think it's more appealing.
That's up for debate.
That was the worst. I'm normally so much better at a British impression. That was
I think
awful.
I'd like to go a little more Cockney with it.
Oh, you're going...
Bloody old mate. I was on a tour once with a band from England, and the drummer had that thick Cockney accent, and I don't think I understood a single word he said, but I helped him drinking his wine.
Really?
He always had a mighty fine wine. Joy to the world.
Have you ever seen the movie Trainspotting?
Of course.
Okay, well, obviously that's more Scottish, but that is the same way where I need subtitles through that whole movie.
Right.
It's like, what?
I understood everything you said.
I picked up nothing. I thought I heard soccer.
Well, I can't believe what you just said on live air.
Well, they'll only have to bleep that out in Gloucestershire
Yeah.
or wherever they understand what I just said.
Glasgow.
Here in America, perfectly fine.
Yeah, I guess right.
I wonder if you're doing like a Spanish-speaking radio program in the States and you curse in Spanish, what the FCC feels about that. Do they bleep that? I wonder. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, somebody call in. The lines are all open right now.
The lines are open. 1-800.
Jeff's bald.
We don't own a phone line yet.
I thought it was Jeff's bald.
Jeff's bald. Oh, we're back to this now.
Yeah. You introduced that number last time.
I am freshly shaved at the moment because unfortunately my old adage is the more hair I grow, the balder I look. It is the Bret Michaels
Frightening.
Or the David Lee Roth disease that I have.
You got a fine look, sir.
Okay. I appreciate that, Dave. That's very kind of you.
It is.
So, real quick, I want to make sure we very briefly touched upon it at the end of our last podcast about the fact that, hey, guess what, everybody? We're musicians and we just put out an album. We kind of touched upon that at the beginning of this podcast episode.
But before you do that, would you like to finish your Cincinnati story?
Oh, yes, you're right. We were about to deviate from football.
Close call.
But as a Cincinnati fan, you know, I was supposed to hate the Browns and, like,
of course.
I said red hot hate. That's not right. White hot hate. But I will say that I'm also, maybe it's because I'm not the jock and I was always the underdog personally on the team, that I do root for the underdog in most situations where I don't have a vested interest. And this last season with Baker Mayfield coming in and the Browns, making changes to the coaching staff and finally starting to put some wins together, I will tell you, I don't watch a ton of NFL games during the season, but I watched more Browns games this past year than I did Bengals games just because I wanted to see what they were doing.
Right.
And I saw an article in the last week. I don't think this is big news because I went to research it during our show prep, and apparently this was an article from months ago.
We had show prep?
I did a little.
Oh.
But the Browns are favored by ESPN to win the AFC North. That's a pretty big thing.
Are you telling me that they are favored to beat the Bengals?
Yep.
The Steelers?
Yep.
And whoever that fourth
The Ravens.
team, the Ravens, yes.
With the former Browns.
That's correct.
Yes, they are favored to beat them all. And I can't say I'm surprised. The Steelers have been on a slight downward trend, and they've had all this drama with Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. So they've got a whole lot of shakeup going on. There was talk about Mike Tomlin not even being the coach this year, which it looks like obviously he's still going to be the coach, and I think he's a great coach as far as NFL coaches go. And I think he fits the philosophy of the Steelers, even though as a Cincinnati fan, it pains me to speak highly of the Steelers in any fashion.
I get it.
But there, the Odell Beckham Jr. acquisition that the Browns just made, that's huge.
Yes, it is.
And with, Baker Mayfield, now he's going into the season with a bit more confidence. So I'm interested to see how things play out.
And I think there's an untangible between Odell and Landry being on the same team.
Is it an untangible or an intangible?
Yes, it's one of those two.
This is why we save the big words for Jeff.
Fair enough. All right, so there's a detangible element to this camaraderie. The fact that these two are back together again after being on the LSU team together, and they're going to tear it up, I think.
True.
And Landry was great for the Dolphins, and how we ever let him go frustrates the heck out of me.
Deal with it.
Yeah, well, at least he did go to the Browns and not the Patriots like most of our
That's true.
ex-players do, and then they win Super Bowls. But yeah, I think the fact that the two of them are back together, and they're going to be just trying to one-up each other, and they're going to be having a good time. And I think it's going to be incredible for the Browns this year. They'll probably win 7 games.
Wow. I think they did better than that last season.
Yeah, I don't know. Did they do better than that?
If they hadn't had the tie against the Steelers early in the season, then they were really going to be playoff contenders.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say they won 7, and then they had one tie.
We could look it up.
Maybe they won. We could, but we're not going to do that because we are consummate,
lazy,
untangible unprofessionals.
Proudly.
That's known as a callback in the radio industry.
And that was kind of professional of you to do.
That's right. So getting back to what we were discussing, you'll notice I have these tangents, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we were going to talk about the album and the fact that, yes, we are musicians. We did just put out an album. You heard one track, It Ain't Easy, on at the end of last week's episode, and we'll do another song at the end of this episode, which we haven't even planned. So when we get to the end of the episode, I'm going to let you, Dave, set it up, and it's going to be Ladies' Choice tonight, and you can pick whatever song off the album you want to close this podcast with.
You mean Davey's Choice?
No, I absolutely meant Ladies' Choice.
Oh.
But I appreciate you trying to correct it for the sake of your own dignity and pride. He keeps the guitar handy.
Yes, I always keep it handy. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
Well done. Good timing.
The redundant king strikes.
So
anything you'd like to hear?
No, because you're probably going to violate some kind of copyright term, and then they won't put us on Spotify or iTunes.
All right.
So we may even need to look up if wah, 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 wah is owned by anyone.
No, you can't own that.
I'm joking. It's chromatic.
And you know what the opposite of that is? The silent movie Girl Tied to the Train Tracks.
Help me! Help me!
Yeah, good.
Well, hello, little lady. I see you're tied to the train tracks.
Yeah, keep it going.
I don't even know where I'm going with that.
And speaking of that, you said it was Lady's Choice.
Correct. I don't know what you're going to do.
How about a major scale? Or does somebody own that now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that John Mayer owns the major scale right now.
Oh, gosh. But what key? All keys?
No, only E, B, and C. So give me something in D.
That was in G. Did that work?
Yep, you were good. You were good then.
There was your D for you.
Fun with scales.
This is probably our best episode ever. 50-50 chance anyway.
So back to the album.
Oh, yeah.
As I mentioned, I was there for a very short stay, and we had a lot of work to do. So we were these just long 14, 15-hour days. The amount of vocal tracks, we didn't even start my vocals until the second to last night. And then it was nothing but vocals moving forward. I actually did the calculations between... So we do something called comping, where I'll sing the same part 3 times so we can grab the best take. And then I also have harmonies. And I did the calculations after I got back home, and I want to say it was somewhere in the area of 90 to 100 takes that I did.
That's a lot.
In about a 27-hour period. So thank goodness my voice held out for those final songs. And, tell me, Dave, did you have any is there a particular track or a particular part of the album that you're most proud of or that you enjoy the most?
Nope. No. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let's see. No.
We were looking for all of them.
Oh. Well, I guess I could say every time I played the guitar. Just kidding. That was stupid.
As much as I like to bust your cojones, I will actually agree with you on that.
No.
No, I will. You added,
You added it.
This, we didn't plan on this being such the collaboration, and I didn't expect the outcome from this album. And, when we finished the album down in Nashville in August, I basically said, look, we're not on any time frame. Take your time with it. You have other projects you're working on. You just started teaching in Memphis a couple days a week, so you were driving back and forth. You're still doing that.
Yes, I am.
But I said, take your time, and it just, over time, you just kind of were able to sit and simmer with the songs, and you just started adding things that I would have never thought of, and that's the great thing about a collaboration.
That's very true, and let that be a lesson to you kids. But you brought some really great stuff to the table that made me want to keep moving forward.
It's a figurative table. There was no table in the studio.
Timetable. But also, when we would get done eating at the regular table, you would then bring some decent stuff to the studio.
Awesome. Well, speaking of eating, you took me someplace for what you told me this is like the best chicken sandwich in the world.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big chicken sandwich kind of guy. I love fried chicken. I love stuffed chicken breasts, but chicken sandwiches is usually just not as juicy as I would prefer on a sandwich. What was the name of that place?
Maniacs in Cool Springs. That's in between Brentwood and Franklin. And I always take out-of-town guests there, and they always have the same reaction that was the best chicken sandwich ever. And
yeah, it was delicious. I think I remember texting you a day or two after I got back to Ohio and telling you that I missed that chicken sandwich. I don't know that I've ever longed for a chicken sandwich before. Is that a franchise, or is that like the only location?
That's their only location, unless they've opened one since I've talked to them last. But,
and even their fries were just delish.
Yeah, we don't use that term in Nashville.
That was great. So just to kind of, explain to everybody, or rather just shameless plugs, that which are what I want for my head, shameless plugs. But we have 12 original songs on the album.
We should start a hair business called Shameless Plugs. He's not only the owner.
I've accepted it for quite some time. It's okay. It doesn't make me sad anymore.
Oh,
I can just shave and hide it. Hide the shame.
with shameless plugs.
But we have 12 original songs on the album. The songs are available for download and streaming on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music. Well, as we mentioned last week, we do have a video on YouTube for It Ain't Easy, which is the second track on the album. I do want to mention Miss Carrie Ann Wood, the beautiful Carrie Ann Wood, who I went to the Second and Seven Foundation event with. She has become a ginormous fan of the very first track, 50 Hands.
Yes.
And it's mainly, and this is why I was kind of asking you, do you have a favorite song or a favorite part?
Well, I think that maybe since this is Ladies' Choice, we go with 50 Hands.
Yeah, all right. I think that works.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it's, we're awesome is what I'm saying.
Well, well, I'll tell you what, like, she loves about that song. It is literally, I'm not saying she doesn't enjoy the entire song. It is one harmony in that song where I go up, and most people would probably go down. It's the, ooh, I promise I'll try at least one more time, where I go up and the main vocal goes down.
All boils down
She
to
just
that.
can't get enough of it. She listens to that song 10 to 20 times a day,
But who
and
doesn't?
make sure that I'm aware that she is listening to that song 10 to 20 times a day, and thank goodness that someone is listening to that song 10 to 20 times a day.
Point made.
So thank you, Carrie Ann. We appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
And we would appreciate all of you beautiful, fantastic listeners with much more lush heads of hair than I have to go listen and stream
And those who don't.
and support the music. We will be working on new songs, and the music industry has changed. You know, we kind of went into this one like, because we're old school, let's put out an album. But what we've kind of thought about since then, especially the fact that we're so far separated and it was so much work to try and squeeze into 3 days, is let's next time maybe spend 3 days and do 3 songs instead of 12.
That's the way you do it.
And, you know, you listen to the Ariana Grandes and the Taylor Swifts and all of them. They're releasing singles, one song at a time. It's very odd to the old fogies like us, but we'll probably take that approach moving forward, where we'll put things out in
Baby steps.
sips.
Baby
Yeah.
sips.
So look forward to that. And as Dave mentioned in the last podcast, this album is very eclectic. It's got a variety of genres, despite the fact that iTunes simply refers to it as country. There are country songs on it. I wouldn't call the album country.
Yeah, I wondered who labeled it that.
It's because when we went through our digital distribution partner, they asked us for 2 primary genres, and we chose country and rock in that order. Unfortunately, iTunes decided we're only going to look at the first primary genre. It's okay.
Well, there's going to
It's
be
okay.
some country lover who gets to track 7 or 8 and goes, what the heck?
What just happened? No, they're going to get to clean and feel dirty.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen. Yes.
That was a good use of,
Play on words.
yes, or... No, that's not the word I was trying
I'm
to
just
think of.
no. Go ahead. I'm
think of
here
it.
to wait and
Yeah, we'll just wait.
Yeah, just let you figure it out.
Hold on. Got to get the guitar.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Oh, I thought you were gonna wah yourself for not being able to finish a
No, I'm
sentence.
still trying to think of the word.
Dung dung.
And it keeps going. But I
You
can't.
threw in the key change.
Yes, I did. I'm that good. I think at some point Alex Trebek just says, please just go home.
Speaking of which, Alex Trebek, poor Alex.
What's the latest I hadn't heard?
Oh, he was diagnosed with stage 4.
Oh, yeah. I heard that.
Yeah.
But he said he was going to fight it.
Well-
and I like that.
Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, everybody wants to fight it. No, I mean, most people don't want to just say,
So have
okay.
you given up on Alex? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was just sending my condolences to the lovers of Alex Trebek or Alex himself and his family. That's
Don't you wait till they're gone before you send condolences?
I guess. I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah, you are. He's going to make it. He's a fighter.
And by jumping the gun, I'm not saying it's going to be like Old Yeller where we take him out behind the barn. That's a figure of speech again.
No, that's not a figure of speech.
Yeah. So yeah, go out and download
Old Alex.
the album.
Poor old Alex.
Old Alex. He should be hanging out with Catherine Zeta-Jones, that old lady.
Oh my.
Did you say that old maid?
No. I said, oh my.
Oh, I like Old Maid actually better.
I bet you would.
Yeah.
She may be listening now. Somebody said that she got tagged.
I think so. Or someone said if she was tagged, it wasn't me. I think that was Mindy, Miss Mindy Muck.
Mindy.
Who is a huge supporter of Jef and Clo, and thank you, Mindy.
We love you, Mindy.
We love you. Yes, we do. So we are getting to the point where we're going to start running past our ideal time.
Sorry.
And I want to get to one segment of the show before we play 50 Hands for you to end the show.
Right on.
Last week, you didn't understand a joke I made, and you chimed in that you finally understood about 45 seconds later.
Yeah.
And I called you slow. You said that rhymes with Clo.
Yes, I did.
I said slow Clo, and you instantly regretted the fact that you opened that door.
Yes, I did.
Well, being the antagonist that I am, I said, well, this week we're just gonna we're gonna turn it into a segment.
Why not?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Slow Clo Trivia Show. So here's how this is going to work. We're not necessarily going to do this every single week, every podcast.
Thank God.
But I'm going to ask you some basic trivia and try and stump you. I'm always going to use an odd number of questions to ensure that you can never break even. I want to make sure that you are clearly a winner or an abject failure. Oh. I'm hoping for the latter, or the bit just doesn't work. Oh. But I wanted to start a little easy on you. So this is music based. So this week's episode of the Slow Clo Trivia Show is finish the lyric and name the song. And I'm going to give you about 5 seconds. Now, this may sound easy to some people, and there's going to be some of you out there, if Dave doesn't get it right away, that's like screaming at your phone or your stereo or whatever because you know what it is.
But just remember, I'm slow, okay?
Slow Clo. That's right. So I will give you a lyric, and many of these songs I know for a fact you know. Many of these songs I know for a fact that you play. So I'm setting you up for success this first week, which will just make it all the more entertaining if you end up as an abject failure. Which would mirror my sports career in high school.
Yes.
There's one song that's probably going to throw you for a loop because it is a bit more modern, but it is hugely popular.
What does that mean?
So, well, it means that you're old.
Oh.
Where's the wah wah wah?
There is no wah 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 for me. There's only.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay. So here we go. I'm going to give you I'm just going to count in my head. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. If you can start humming the melody in that 5 seconds, I will give you a few more seconds to figure it out. Because this is a little harder because you're hearing me say it without any melody. Some of these lines might be like the third line in a verse. I'm not just giving you the first line of the song or anything. Okay, you ready?
Ready, sir.
Number 1. And I never lost a minute of sleeping. And I never lost a minute of sleeping.
Might have been.
Wait. What's your final answer?
Proud Mary.
No. I need the line after the line I gave you. And I never lost a minute of sleeping.
Worrying about the way things might have been.
Correct, Dave. And what song is that?
Proud Mary. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So there you go. You got the first one.
Thank goodness.
Okay. Here we go. That was one of the easy ones.
I know. I'm just very nervous.
That's okay. All right. Here we go. Number 2. Sleep with one eye open.
Exit night.
Okay, I mean, that's one lyric, but that's not the next lyric. I want the next lyric. Sleep with one eye open.
Something your pillow is...
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh.
It is gripping your pillow tight.
That's what I thought it was.
What's the song?
That's Enter Sandman by Metallica.
Right. Okay, well, I'll give you credit for the song, but you still failed.
So I get this.
Perfect. All right, so here's the next one, number 3. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end.
I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend.
Bam! Look at that.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was quick.
Oh, yeah. That was no slow Clo there.
What's the song, Dave?
Fire and Rain by JT.
That's right.
Justin Timberlake. No, James Taylor. I know.
I know you know.
I know you know I know.
But that was a nice little improv there.
The original JT.
All right, here's the one that's going to throw you for a loop. Now, this is a song that I do when I do my solo acoustic shows.
Boy.
You do not do this song, and it is a bit more modern. It's probably in the last, 5 to 6 years or so.
Okay.
Take me by the tongue, and I'll know you. Take me by the tongue, and I'll know you.
Take me by the nose, and I'll slow Clo you.
Oh, I see. No, that is incorrect. You're clearly lost. That is Maroon 5's Moves Like Jagger.
Moves Like Jagger.
The next line is Kiss me till you're drunk, and I'll show you.
I just didn't recognize it in the heat.
I knew that one was going to throw you.
The heat of battle just threw me. Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, you should be able to get the next 3. So
Wait a
far,
minute. How many are we doing here?
We're doing 7. We're doing 7. It's an odd number.
How many we done?
So far, you've got 2.
2. I've got 3, right?
No, you didn't. You did not get Enter Sandman. You said something about a pillow at night.
Gripping your pillow at night, right?
No, you said it's something about your pillow at night. It's gripping your pillow tight.
Same thing.
Okay, you definitely know this one, so just try and close your mind and get into a Zen state.
My mind's usually closed.
Slowly learning that life is okay.
Okay, I know this.
Yes, you do. Slowly learning that life is okay.
Okay, Jeff. I'm almost there.
Start humming it. Yeah? Okay, but I can't let you play the whole song.
Okay. Got to get to that point of the song. Let's see.
No, I'm not letting you just go through the whole song.
Well, just
slowly learning that life is okay.
Say after me.
Yes, keep going.
I have to keep going? That's not fair. Who made up these rules? Say after me. It's no better to be safe than sorry.
I'll give it to you. Yes, I gave you a bit hint, but all right, stop. We can't violate that. What's the song?
What? Oh.
What's the name of the song?
It's Take On Me by Aha.
Okay. All right, we got 2 more, and then we're going to wrap up this episode of the podcast, episode number 2 of the Jef and Clo Podcast show, as Dave likes to add on to the end, so that it rhymes with Clo. All right. Thought I saw Miss Lucy down along the tracks.
She lost her home and her family, and she will not, aka won't be coming back.
Good job, Dave. What song is that?
That is Long Train Running by the Doobie Brothers.
Ding, ding, ding. All right. So now we're going to go into the last question. This is an 80s song, okay? So you would have been...
Are we talking
probably
1980s?
In your late 40s. Well, yes, 1980s.
Okay, because those 1880s are hard.
At the drive-in in the old man's Ford. At the drive-in in the old man's Ford. Nothing?
Is it like
you got nothing?
Is it a John Cougar song or something like that?
No. This is glam hair band.
Oh.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna.
It's not Summer of '69, is it?
No. I'm going to sing
Okay.
just the first half of that.
Great.
At the drive-in.
In the old man's Ford.
Yes. What's next? All right, you didn't get this one.
I know the
Time is
song.
up. Behind the bushes till I'm screaming for more.
Oh, yeah.
That is Poison with Talk Dirty to Me.
Okay. Yeah, Ford and More. Such a good rhyme.
Perfect rhymes.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of which, real quick before we close this, there was a show when I was little I used to watch on TV. I don't remember the name. What was it? The Great... Oh, what was it? They had a GNU that was reading the news.
Did not know
It was
that.
the GNU News, even though I know GNU doesn't pronounce G, but they did on that show. It was the Great...
Bambini.
Oh, my goodness. Now I'm forgetting. You can go ahead and buzz me on this. But there was I remember as a kid, there was a segment where the whole episode was dedicated, like in these little segments, they kept coming back to these people that were trying to figure out a word that rhymed with rainbow.
Hambone.
And at the end of the episode, they came to the conclusion that they figured it out. Do you want to know what rhymed with rainbow?
What rhymes with rainbow?
Rainbow. It was awful.
No.
I was so disappointed.
That's terrible.
And
Is that even technically correct? I mean, can a word rhyme?
I mean, technically.
It can rhyme with it.
Technically.
Rhyme with itself.
Well, I mean, rainbow rhymes with rainbow.
Not really. It's the same word.
The Great Space Coaster. That's what it was. It's the Great Space Coaster. Get on board.
And that rhymes with board.
It's the Great Space Coaster. Off we go, step inside.
Yeah.
Going for another
You know it rhymes
ride.
with orange, don't you?
Orange. Based on Great Space Coaster logic?
No.
Well, no, tell me.
Door hinge.
Door hinge. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have to make sure one of our upcoming songs that we record. I was sitting on a bench, eating an orange. I walked into the house and I looked at the door hinge. There you go. We'll do something like that.
I knew you was coming because I heard that squeaky door hinge.
Wait, what?
I knew.
Edit.
I knew you were entering into the house because I heard that squeaky door hinge.
Okay, you were trying to change the lyrics. I was wondering where you're going with that. All right, well, we have exceeded our time. We are now well beyond the 45-minute mark. We still have to play a song for you guys. This is just how it is with Dave and I. We
have 3-hour phone calls.
We get carried away with conversations, hence the reason why we realized we had to just start a podcast. So we hope you guys are enjoying this. This has been episode number 2. And again, based on Ladies' Choice... And
50 hands, 50 hands, 50 hands.
That's right, 50 hands. We're gonna give you 50 hands. It is the first track off our album, Another Stupid Joke, available on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Pandora. Do not forget, if anybody is interested in being a sponsor or an advertiser on the show, you can go to sales@jeffandclo.com. That's right. Dave, is there anything you'd like to promote while we're doing the show? It would have to be for next week, not this coming weekend.
And just to let you know, we are going to have some interviews coming up soon. I know lots of famous, super famous people.
That's right.
And, marginally. And coming up in
April
6th.
April 6th.
Yes, I will be at the Party for a Cure, which is at Coach's in Gahanna, for those of you in Columbus, playing with Chris Logston and
Correct.
Raising money for the cure of...
And I will be there as well. I will be there simply as a patron.
Cancer.
But if anybody would like to show up and get to meet the dynamic duo of Jef and Clo in person, if you have not already,
come on out.
Go out to Coaches in Gahanna on April 6th, as Dave mentioned, for Party for a Cure. We're trying to raise over $7,000. That's the goal this year. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Awesome job, Jeff.
Cool, Dave. Well, it's been another wonderful
turbulence
journey through the podcast tunnel.
Yes. What?
That was poorly phrased.
Kind of bad. The tunnel of love.
The tunnel of podcast love. That's right. All right, brother. Well, You enjoy the rest of your day, and everybody, please make sure if you're listening to this and you want to find other venues to listen to it on, by the time the second episode comes out, we should be available on Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Just search Jef Clo Podcast. We're going to listen to 50 Hands off the album Another Stupid Joke. Dave, I love you.
Love you too, Jeff. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
When the rain comes, it pours hard. Turn my dirt to mud, and here I am, cleaning up again. All I need is one good friend to tell me it'll all be okay. One time, let me be alright. One time, let me be alright. One time, let me be alright. Let me be alright. I need 50 hands to count all the ways that I messed up everything. I'll probably do it all again. I only need 2 feet to stand back up and start my life again. I'll try at least one more time. I promise I'll try. When the pain comes, it cuts hard. Turn my skin to blood, and here I am, patching up again. All I need is one good end to show me it'll all go away. One time, let me be alright. One time, let me be alright. One time, let me be alright. Let me be alright. I need 50 hands to count all the ways that I messed up everything. I'll probably do it all again. I only need 2 feet to stand back up and start my life again. Oh, I promise I'll try at least one more time. I promise I'll try. Get up, over and over again. Automatic, gotta keep the beat moving. Acrobatic if you wanna be moving. Get up, you think that time is your friend. Automatic if you wanna be easy. Acrobatic if you wanna be pleasing. Get up. I need 50 hands to count all the ways that I messed up everything. I'll probably do it all again. I only need 2 feet to stand back up and start my life again. Oh, I promise I'll try at least one more time. I promise I'll try. One more time. I promise I'll try. Get up, 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 get up. Oh, I gotta keep the beat. Get up, I gotta if you wanna be. Get up, oh, I gotta if you wanna be. Get up, I gotta if you wanna be. Get up, oh, I gotta keep the beat. Get up, I gotta if you wanna be. Get up, oh, I gotta if you wanna be. Get up, I gotta if you wanna be. Get up, oh, I gotta keep the beat. Get up, acrobatic if you wanna be. Get up, automatic if you wanna be easy. Acrobatic if you wanna be pleasing.
Brain fart.